How can we shore up our weak spots? How's everyone doing today? Welcome to my channel. I'm Thomas, and I do educational materials, books, and um, articles, and consultations, and I think I do some other things too, but um, courses and any other kind of media. Hopefully, I'll be putting together a game, a Tree of Life game at some point. And I mainly work on subjects that are far off the beaten path, subjects that you're familiar with, but you're not familiar with the more kind of sacred aspects of these subjects, such as math and geometry, physics and chemistry, economics, um, health and fitness, nutrition, and history, among others. So those are things that I'll be bringing to the table on this course or on this channel over the next year. For right now, we're focused on the Tree of Life. And the Tree of Life is an ancient diagram that kind of points out our faculties of consciousness and how to work them. And I like the Tree of Life mainly because it's a non-dogmatic structure that you can really individualize for yourself, but also that it is a template. And so all of those other subjects that I just mentioned will be able to fit in nicely with the Tree of Life. So once you get the structure of the Tree of Life, you have the power to really embody and empower those all those other subjects, and to integrate them, to see them how they relate to each other, and how it all you can put it all together as a whole. So I think that's the key, and that's why I think that the Tree of Life is so important, is because it's an integrating faculty, it's an integrating technology, and it is also a self-defense because there are a lot of people who probably don't have your best interest at heart, who use the tree in a more sinister way, and learning the tree also provides you with a defense mechanism against them, because you need to know what the enemy's what their playbook consists of, and then you can be able to counter that. Okay, so the Tree of Life is this diagram right here. Like I said, it's an ancient diagram, goes back at least as far as ancient Egypt, and there are many different versions of it out there. This one is mainly coming from the book's called Annotated by Ra and Neferamen, and there are various permutations of this, but mostly we have 10 different spheres or circles here: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There are 22 lines connecting the various spheres in the pattern. And then there are also the abyss here, and then the 0 above the tree. So there's 12 different categories and really 22 different lines. The lines are probably not as important in the Tree of Life as they are in the Kabbalah, which is, the Kabbalah is the same diagram, more or less, but it has a different interpretation. And to be honest, I'm not an expert on the Kabbalah. I do feel like I'm maybe not a complete expert, but I have expertise in the Tree of Life. But the Kabbalah has never really resonated with me. So read several books on it, but it's never really clicked. But the Tree of Life really clicked for me. And the books, the Medunater books, that's Metuneter, 2 words, capital Neter. And he's got at least 5 different volumes of that. Okay, now to show how it works, we've got the 10th sphere. They all basically are 12 different categories that describe our faculties of consciousness. And so each one corresponds to a different faculty of consciousness. The 10th sphere is all about our survival instinct consciousness, our fight or flight, our kill or be killed kind of stance, also the defilements and the lusts of the body, classified here at the 10th sphere. The 9th sphere has a lot to do with our habits, but it's our learning receptivity faculty, which is called our domestic consciousness. What we pick up in the first years of our lives, growing up in the home, for the first few years of our lives, where we're super receptive. We're soaking up everything from our environment, and we're learning the behaviors and the motions, the movements of our caregivers, and we're learning to copy them. We learn how to do all the things that they do, starting with walking. Maybe not starting with walking, but including walking. And we copy what they do, and then we practice it over and over again. We keep failing, and we keep failing, and we keep trying it again. And eventually we get it. And eventually, all the habits of our caregivers are more or less passed down to us. The 8th sphere is kind of similar, but instead of being in the domestic sphere, this is out in the public. So this is the public sphere. Once you go to school, once you go to church, at that age, then you start picking up some of the 8th sphere. The 8th sphere is really like our belief systems, our behavior patterns, our rational faculty. But our rational faculty is generally a rationalizing faculty, because the 8th sphere is like a trickster. The 8th sphere teaches you the conventional wisdom, the expert opinion, the establishment dicta, and these are things that they tell us they're true, but they aren't necessarily true. They are mainly arrived at by convenience, by the institutions of power, the establishment. They tell us what they want us to believe. And many times what they want us to believe is not the same as what we actually would believe from our own experience. So what they tell us to believe does not necessarily harmonize with what we believe based on our own experience. And so we have to be able to contort ourselves, contort our belief systems to fit into this 8th sphere. That's where the rationalizing faculty comes from. We have to be able to convince ourselves that our own experience is wrong and what they tell us is right. It's like the emperor wears no clothes. Okay, then the 7th sphere is for people who were in the 8th sphere or sensed the 8th sphere, and they couldn't keep rationalizing it anymore, and they had to come over here. The 8th sphere is supposed to be what the real world is. The 7th sphere is the imaginary world. So the 7th sphere is for people who are in the 8th sphere and saw all the problems, all the issues with the 8th sphere, all the lies and the half-truths of the 8th sphere, and they came over here and imagined something better. And through the imagination, also the inspiration from other like-minded people, and intuition, going inside and really asking ourselves what we think is true, through creativity, being able to put together new things, and pleasure principle, putting together pleasing arrangements, we're able to arrive at inventions, other intellectual property, or create creative artifacts such as songs or poems or stories, plays, movies, or whatever we put together, where we propose alternatives for this A-sphere, things that would improve upon the A-sphere if enacted. And then this also encourages us to move up into the A-sphere, because our other alternative is really just selling it out back to the A-sphere. So if we move up to the sixth, I think I said eighth, but I meant sixth, to the sixth sphere here, this is our free will faculty. And our free will has really the two components of paying attention and making decisions. And this is where we're located normally, but unfortunately our attention is normally directed at the lower part of the tree. We're paying attention from here, but we're paying attention to the 8th, 9th, and 10th spheres primarily. This is our comfort zone. This is how we grew up. We grew up paying attention to these spheres. These were the paramount importance. These are the only things we knew for many years of our lives. So naturally, we're paying attention to this area down here. But the other aspect of the 6th sphere is our ability to make decisions. And so the important decision that we must make at the 6th sphere is to avert our attention from this area down here and focus our attention on the upper part of the tree, which are, our higher and more spiritual faculties, even though that these faculties have not really been fully developed, if at all developed. So we go from a situation of like being in a very familiar kind of milieu here to having to turn around and face into the unknown. So that requires a good deal of courage to be able to face our fears. And as we embark upon the higher spheres, 6, 5, and 4, this all is really a triangle of being able to overcome fear. At the 6th sphere, the fear, we don't have to overcome the fear, we just have to stand in its face. So we're still scared. We're not going to get rid of the fear, but we recognize that the fact that we're scared doesn't mean that we can't do it. Even though we're scared, we're willing to give it a try. Okay, so that's really the hurdle that you jump with fear at the 6th sphere. At the 5th sphere, it's more like you are able to do this all day long. The 6th sphere is mainly for special occasions, a one-shot deal, a few times in your life, or at a special event. But by the time you get to the 5th sphere, doing that kind of thing at the 6th sphere, or standing in the face of fear, becomes old hat for you. It's the difference between these are two of the fractals that we'll be discussing over the course of this series here. But taking the plunge and just stepping in, when we're facing our fear at the 6th sphere, we kind of have to hold our nose, because it's like, oh boy, we're going in deep. But here at the 5th sphere, it's become so common, we've done it so many times, that we're just like, here we go again. You just step right in. And so the awesomeness of the fear is dispelled, and the fear has been revealed to be a paper tiger, and that we can just step right in. And then finally at the 4th sphere, you're really able to overcome the fear, where it's like you're not even scared anymore, because you've just dealt with it so many times, and you've had a measure of success. Okay, now Now, when we take our attention here at the sixth sphere, we apply our attention to the fifth sphere. This is how we first bridge the unknown aspects of the higher spheres, because the fifth sphere is our sense of justice. This is our karma. As you sow, so shall you reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What comes around goes around. So as we act, we get a return, a reaction from our karma, and we receive that. So we get immediate feedback on our actions. Karma calibrates things according to violence, waste, and violation. So when we act in a violent manner, we get violence returned to us. When we act in a wasteful manner, we get wastefulness returned to us. If we're paying attention here, we recognize that and we begin to improve our actions so that they don't create so much karma, so that they're not so wasteful, they're not so violent, they don't violate other people. And we begin to use our karma as a friend, a teacher, to help us to determine what are the most just actions. Okay, the fourth sphere is similar to the fifth sphere. They're counterparts. The fifth sphere is about the enforcement of the law. The fourth sphere is the articulation of the law. In a huge cosmology or theory of everything, a holy book that talks about everything in the universe, attempts to to weave together, to integrate all the findings that we've made up to this point. And the most successful cosmologies stand the test of time. They last for a long time. But all of them do need to be updated periodically, because we're always coming up with new observations, new findings, new investigations, new experiments, results of new experiments that maybe call the cosmology into question. And so these all do need to be updated once in a while, because the law, the natural law itself, is eternal, but our interpretation of it is changing still, and will always be changing. Okay, then this also corresponds to the universal love and the universal language. Then the abyss is about the psychic powers, having to do with omens or synchronicities in our lives. We must be able to recognize those omens and then to be able to act upon them. Third, second, and first spheres have to do with the divine faculties that we have within us, deep within us. These are all requiring us to go very deep into a meditation, or very deep into our minds, to the center of our minds, because we have to be able to calm our minds down enough to be able to access these very delicate, these very faint vibrations of particular. This is mantra. This is omnipotence, all powerful. We tap into this through sound synchronization, which we'll talk about a little bit today. And then the second sphere is omniscience, all knowing, or wisdom. We tap into this through being able to see to see our deepest center. And then we tap into the first sphere, omnipresence, all present, all at once, through being able to actually be at our deepest center. And that when we actually do get to our deepest center, we recognize that that deepest center is the same as everybody else's. It's a singularity. It's one point that everybody shares. And so it's a unifying factor. Then there's a 0 above the tree, which corresponds to nothingness and to mystery, because it's not really part of the universe. It is part of the creator, but not part of the universe. So we do not have direct access to it, but it still is a factor in our lives because it is part of the creator. Okay, now that is the kind of the beginner's version of the tree of life. Now, when I work with Tree of Life, what I do is I take the whole tree and I superimpose it on each sphere. So I take the breakdown of 12 into 12 categories, and I break it down to another level of 12 by 12 by 12 by 12. So each one of the spheres is broken down again into 12 faculties. So you end up with a total of 144 different mini faculties or fractal faculties, what I refer to as stages of life, stages of history, stages of spirituality. And these are all put together by me into a list, and I can gladly send you a copy of that, an abstracted copy of that list. If you click the link in the description, you can get that for free. So please just click the link in the description. It'll help you as we go through these 144 different fractal faculties, which we do one new one per day. And today we're going to be looking at stage number 100. And that question was, how can we shore up our weak spots? Now we look at number 100. Where we find this is that it is the 7th fractal of the 3rd sphere. So it's within the 3rd sphere, omnipotence, tapped into through sound synchronization or mantra. And then also it's related to the 7th sphere, which is about creativity, imagination, inspiration, intuition, and harmony. So we're really trying to harmonize there in the 7th sphere, but that's within the 3rd sphere. So some kind of harmony within the practice and science of mantra, of sound synchronization. And then, so this one, number 100, is called seven different hats. Stage number 100 is about activating our 6 latent personalities. Each of us has a dominant personality and 6 weak personalities corresponding to the days of the week. By activating and employing our non-dominant personalities, we tap the potential of flipping weaknesses into strengths, eventually synchronized. 7 different hats. Planets govern days of the week. What day were we born? According to the heavens, at the moment of our birth, we are all endowed with certain strengths and weaknesses. We can do it any day of the week, from Sunday, 6, 9, 5, 8, 4, 7, 3. Syncing all of them, not just our natal affinities, through mantra. Transcend solar system. Transcend the outer rings of the flat universe. The initiate becomes an adept as we learn to accept and transcend our planetary weaknesses and to annex the strengths of other planets, which are all within unmanifest. This unmanifest power can be brought out through devotion to mantra. There are mantras for each planet, each personality. The mantra must be synchronized with the breathing and with the repeating rhythm of the mantra itself. Moreover, adepthood can be approached by syncing all 7 of the personal mantras with the context of our lives, to be able to activate each faculty at will when appropriate. From this intuited, this tuned into, this tutored into understanding of the dimensions of time and space, each initiate is able to successfully synchronize all of our personalities at will. Like we are changing our tone of voice, like we are putting on a new set of clothes, using each only as it is called for by the context. Facing and transcending weaknesses is difficult discipline. An ambivalent attitude toward pleasure and pain is cultivated through austerities, and austerities must be performed in a loving, hawkish way, demonstrating the ability to enjoy even difficult long-term endeavors. Austerities require us to love, not giving in to either pleasure or pain, to strengths or weaknesses, to things that control our emotions. Bringing our A game to every activity, not just our mission. And then our mission is expanded until we wear 7 different hats, shoring up weaknesses, turning weakness into strength. All right, that is the 3rd fractal of the 7th sphere. That is the 7th fractal of the 3rd sphere. 7 different hats. That's number 100 of the 144 different fractal faculties. Thank you for sticking around to the end. And again, just click the link in the description if you'd like me to send you that list of the 144 fractal faculties, annotated. And then you can also click the like button, share and subscribe to the channel, share the video with others, and you can donate to me through Venmo or Cash App, also listed in the description. If you are interested in any things that I've written, just ask in the comments, and I will kind of tell you what I have available. I do have a short book that I've written on Tree of Life that also could probably get you up to speed. Just like 70 pages or something. And I do these videos every day for the next couple months until we're done with all 144. So stay tuned for tomorrow's video. It'll be a big surprise what number we do, because they're more or less chosen at random. And today was number 100, but what will tomorrow be? You know, you can guess, and then you can turn on the channel and find out. So stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, and thanks for tuning in. All right, have a nice day.